Athletes use drugs in sports such as rugby to gain both physical and psychological advantages. Taking of drugs can have both advantages and disadvantages. There are many reasons why some take drugs. Some socially, this includes taking of drugs such as caffeine, which is taken in by athletes but not taken to enhance performance specifically. It may also be socially expected of them either by their peers or coaches. This means they will be peer pressured into taking drugs. Coaches may encourage drugs because they may think that they need extra boost in order for them to improve their performance. However, there are other reasons such as taking drugs in order to improve physically, such as steroids in rugby, which would be taken to improve or even increase muscle mass. Drugs can enhance performance, such as beta blockers in snooker or darts used to calm a player down in order for them to think clearly in such a complex game that requires high concentration. Drugs in sport can be positive as they can help enhance their performance. They can be used to improve athletes' recovery rate, strength, and even muscle mass, but they can also provide health benefits. For example, steroids can help reduce inflammation caused by sickness or allergies. However, they can be used to increase the size of your muscles. This means a performer can become more physically stronger against a component, making it easier to win against them in a game such as rugby that requires a strong physical strength. Drugs in sports can also help psychology, as they can improve people's feelings of positivity and improve their confidence. This is because if the drug enhances their performance, they will become better at the sport, therefore making them feel good about themselves as they are gradually improving. Although drugs aren't always positive, as they can have a negative impact on sport because they can cause demotivation for training in sports. Drugs can be addictive for people and therefore cause people to become more reliant on them and expect drugs to enhance performance, meaning they don't have to take part in hard training sessions provided. Drugs can be used by sports performers, however, if found using them, they are normally banned and fined for the use. They would also be advertised in the media for the use of drugs. This means the younger generation, who may see them as taking drugs, having a huge influence on them because their role models are taking drugs to enhance their performance, and this may cause them to do it, finding it acceptable. If a sports performer is found to have taken, they can receive a life ban on the specific sport and also will lose money as sponsors will no longer sponsor someone who brings a bad name to the company. Drugs such as stimulants that are usually used in sport like rugby to make a performer more alert and mask fatigue can cause heart failure and also can become very addictive. The same will be anabolic agent steroids, which will help an athlete train harder and build muscle. It can increase aggression and cause kidney damage. Drugs being taken by a sports performer can increase their aggression in the game, although this is a good thing in rugby. It can also become over the top, as a player might become over-aggressive and cause injuries to themselves and other players. In order to reduce the use of drugs in rugby, the RFU provides education, testing, sanctions and treatment rehabilitation for players who think or have been beginning to use drugs. The education of drugs for players provide them with the knowledge of health and psychological effects that drugs can cause to them and their overall sporting performance. The testing of drugs is important because it can make competitions fair and safer, because if someone is on steroids, they may be stronger and have a larger muscle, therefore may appear more stronger and harder to defend against. But because he's under the influence of steroids, he or she can be stopped by playing, making the game fair and keeping the ethos of the game intact. Sanction for a player because they use drugs is a good thing, because it allows the player to reflect on the actions and shows them how this isn't allowed in rugby and that could jeopardise both their career and popularity and therefore may deter them from using the drugs for a second time. The treatment and rehabilitation of drugs gives player a second chance and it helps with addiction and any health effects they may cause, giving players a second chance to affect careers. Give players a second chance can really affect careers and personal confidence, because if they're provided with a second chance, they may get affected by this and not bother with anything else regarding drugs. Violence in sports can be caused by many factors. Violence can occur between the actual sports performer or even just the spectators. Examples of why violence can occur in sports could be because of opponents, officials, bias of the officials, emotion intensity, the nature of the sport, and even rivalry between the two teams. Sports performers can cause violence in sport because they may disagree with the referee's decision, where that was put against them. This means that they may start having a go at the refs or even at the opposition. Generally, violence towards the referee and officiation doesn't occur in rugby, as rugby players respect the referee and call him or her sir or madam. However, sports like football can show the aggression towards referees. This can include swearing at them, being generally verbally abusive towards them when they disagree with their opinion. The general reason why players in rugby respect the referee is because in history, rugby was seen as an upper class, seen to be played by upper class people. It was always seen as a game of respect and discipline. So when a player is pulled up by the referee, they stand there quietly listening to what they have to say, and if they do have a problem, they say it through their captain. Generally, the respect for the referee is the culture of rugby because of the type of class it played it in history. A referee in rugby will try to make the game as enjoyable and safe as they can, but always will alert any problems or safety issues they have and act upon them straight away to keep the game fair. If respect isn't shown to the referee in rugby, the players and coaches will be issued with a warning, and if a player disrespects or doesn't listen to the referee again in the same match, he or she will be given 10 minutes in the bin. Violence isn't always conceded against the referee, it is also done against an opponent if they've made an illegal action in the game but that hasn't been pulled up on because of it. Although it doesn't have to be an illegal action, it could be part of the gamesmanship. For example, scraping in rugby. This is not only annoying for the player, but it's seen as unfair. Therefore, the player takes it upon themselves to discipline or even show how annoyed they are towards that specific player, often leading in themselves to getting aggressive towards the other player and then being told off by the referee. Another factor that causes violence in sport performance could be the general nature of this game. This could be shown in rugby because rugby is generally a violent game, and this can have an effect on the performance attitude, and some players may take it too far and become aggressive towards other players. This can result in injuries occurring or a player being sent off in order to keep the game safe. Generally, a little assertiveness is effective in rugby. In rugby, coaches try to work players up and making them feel angry, determined, ready for the game. Working the player up helps them get in the right mindset, and this leads them to go out and play hard in order for them to get the result they want. Some players may scrape their opponent, which is a natural and legal thing to do in rugby. It shows anger and can sometimes injure a player, but not with a high intention to injure them seriously. Scraping it, which is the stamping on someone, can be shown violence, but is a controlled manner. Therefore, this is making an assertive action. However, if a coach takes it over to the top, it can cause a player to become aggressive towards other players or the referee. This can lead to the technique becoming sloppy, their objective being missed, and therefore changing the whole game. Some competitions or scores of games can determine whether a game team gets through to the next level of the league. This means the game will have a huge emotional intensity for the players in this type of game. This can mean players know that they need to go out and work their hardest. For the example, this means that they will need to throw in the strongest tackles, be faster, be effective at rucks. All of these need to be assertive in order to be effective. Although some people can be aggressive instead of assertive, causing them to become over the top up in the game, which can cause aggression to their teammates, the opposition, or the referee. The crowd can have an impact on the game because some of the spectators can become aggressive verbally towards the players or specific team, which can cause a player to become annoyed or angry at the abuse and receiving either by their own fans or they've made a mistake, or the opposition fans, leading to a player becoming aggressive instead of assertive. This can cause violence, illegal play, injuries, and disrespectful action towards both fellow and opposition players or the referee. Aggression and violence in sport can also occur depending on the team you're playing. For example, if England and Wales are playing against each other, this would be a major rivalry in sport. Therefore, the two teams who will want to win whatever the game they play would go out and play harder and better than any other game because they would want to win against their rivals in order to keep their title against them. Taking past experience into account with their rivals, generally rival matches end up in players getting too hyped up and then becoming aggressive instead of assertive towards their opponents, and this then leads to violence and foul play. There are many ways that violence in sports can be solved. One way that could be, in order to reduce it, is an increase in officials on and off the pitch at the match. This increase can help pick on more foul play within a game that may aggravate other players and cause them to become violent. Also, so many times in matches there is violence that isn't picked up on by the referee, and no discipline is given to that or both specific players involved. Therefore, having more officials can reduce the chance of anything being missed, making the game fair and allowing people to continue playing, knowing the referee and officials are doing their job, picking up on the specific players who are doing the right thing, keeping the game fun but also safe. Another solution that links to this one would be having severe penalties for the player or players involved in the violence on the pitch when it's not needed. This can teach the players it's not acceptable and therefore maybe to deter them from doing it again once they've been in serious trouble one time. Severe penalties can include match bans, fines, timeout, or the sin bin in rugby. Abandoning specific competitions. Rugby is all about discipline, and therefore when penalties are introduced, it can give that player education on what they did was bad and that they shouldn't do it again, which can be effective for the younger generation watching their role models play on national television. For example, England Rugby's new captain, Dylan Hartley, used to be involved in all the scraps and violence and fights that occurred on the pitch. Although now he is in a high position as captain, he has identified that he can't do this because he's a big role model, or is a big part of the team and its success and view to other people. Therefore, he is now more respectful of the rules and influences them on the team. Education for the players about violence may be another solution, showing what the implications could be if violence from them is seen or done in a match. The reminding of the ethos of rugby, although it is physically a contact game, is about respect to the officials and players. Therefore, this education may make them think twice about being aggressive and violent on the pitch. Another solution could be introduction of technology in rugby. This links to the official point, where it is make it easy for officials to identify any foul play or violence occurring on the pitch. Therefore, it gives the chance for officials to identify foul play, but not necessarily take it up on the pitch, but take it up after and give out fines, bans after the thing, and therefore meaning that it's not missed. Commercialisation can be expensive. For example, when a rugby player has worn a specific shirt in a match, the price normally goes up. Therefore, people want it in more demand, so then the price goes up. This can be beneficial to the manufacturer and the shop selling it. However, the more shirts that change, so for example in rugby you get a new shirt every season or maybe twice a season, more the younger generation want it, so the more money that the parents have to spend on a £50 shirt, this can lead in an increase in income for the business, and then therefore give them a better financial stability. However, I think that commercialisation kind of ruins the ethos of sport, as it means that sports is more being used as a business in order for people to buy and sell commodities. It kind of reduces the investment in sports, and more people want to buy shirts from other places where they're spending money, so it may not mean that they can go to matches and go and watch live matches and watch people play. Commercialisation can also belittle a player, so if a player, for example, like Chris Upshaw is being sponsored by Nike, he's seen as more a better player and a better skilled player than or a well-known player than someone like Courtney Lawes, who may be sponsored by Puma, and the two brands may differ, and it cause bias in the team, and people may like one player compared to another. However, some people can see commercialisation as opportunities to drive fan engagement, increase operation efficiency and decrease administration costs, strengthen governance and manage competition in territory, or establish and grow commercial partnerships, which may all be benefits, but I think that shirts and commodities should be decreased in price, therefore meaning that more people can get the shirts but have more money to go and watch the match and actually get involved in the club, such as paying the memberships of club memberships and go and pay for tickets. Although commercialisation can increase popularity and advertise sports, I think the prices that need to change and be thought about, and the way it's produced, like through sponsorship of players, maybe advertising at our matches, and maybe making sure it's suitable for